Hi, Sérgio. How are you doing?
Hi, Pascal. I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm fine too, far away from you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation.
Okay. So, dear all, Sérgio Jábali is a tech Goldsat and an executive at PARAR Institute, the Brazilian entity which provides content and education to fleet manager and mobility actor. His presentation will let you know to best use data in the field of mobility. So now, Sergio, you have the floor.
Okay, Pascal, thank you again. And thank you all from the audience for your time to listen to this speech. So, as Pascal said, I'm Sérgio Jábali, Chief Technology Officer at GoSat, a telematics company that offers high-end products focused in light-duty corporate fleets based in Brazil with more than 50,000 vehicles being tracked. And also, PARAR executive and speaker, the biggest platform for content and education in Latin America with more than 15,000 members. So I will give you an overview on PARAR's perspective regarding how to use data to optimize vehicle fleet and mobility efficiency. But first, what does PARAR means? So in Portuguese, the official language in Brazil, where I am, and where PARAR was is based, it means thinking responsible alternatives and managing fleets with results. PARAR was created in 2012 with the objective of raising the level of fleet management in Brazil, professionalizing the sector, and the people who work in this area with safety culture as its main value. So we value a lot safety culture, better than cost saving. Through courses and events and content production, PARAR has the privilege actually of training and inspiring thousands of people, consolidating itself as one of the main study and training centers for fleet professionals in Latin America. Okay, so let's talk about fleet management, which is not about guessing, it's about knowing, and you have to measure, to know you have to measure, and for measuring, you need technology, right? So this leads us to the fleet management and corporate mobility ecosystem that you are seeing in the screen. You cannot do it all alone, so you need providers, partners, let's say, especially technology partners, so you can integrate all those data. In this slide, you can see 3 columns. The first one is related to starting the operation, and a special attention here for training and education. The second one is the fleet operation itself. So attention to telematics. You can manage what you don't measure, right? And by the way, the picture below is from GoFleet, the telematics and fleet management software from GoSat, the company I work for. And the last column here is related to avoidable events and demobilization. So special attention here for the safety culture I have mentioned that generates savings as a consequence. So for all those topics here, there are plenty of technology companies in Latin America. And then there is an important message here, which is you need to choose the right partners for your operation. But we see there are still many fleet managers without telematics, for example. And telematics, we believe, is the basis for fleet diagnosis and operation. So let me open in parentheses here on a short story on PARAR's foundation. In 2012, there was these 2 executives from GoSat, and they were flying back home from a business trip to sell telematics technology all over the country in Brazil. And then they found this in-flight magazine with an article about the United Nations and the decade of action for road safety. So the insight was at that moment instantaneous. So that's exactly what we do. We provide the technology so fleet managers can drive their fleets, add value to their business, and contribute with safety culture to the road safety. So this is very aligned. But fleet managers, they didn't see value in hiring telematics. So then one of these executives, let's provide education and training for the sector, and fleet managers will become more and more strategic in their companies, and then they will hire technology, and then we are going to help road safety. So that was the foundation of PARAR Institute. In 2012, then we have the first forum in Porto Alegre, a city in the south of Brazil, where experienced fleet managers, they taught their best practices to beginners in the audience. And then next year, there has been the first PARAR Global Conference in São Paulo, which is a 2-day event. Now it's a 3-day event. And then in 2014, PGF was created. PGF stands for Program for Fleet Managers, and it was created in order to professionalize people working in this sector. We'll talk a little bit more about PGF later. So, okay, after hiring good technology partners and getting a lot of information, the question that arises is what to do with so much data. So you have a lot of data from all those partners. What to do with that? So now I'll present 8 tips on safety and efficiency. So first one, strategic fleet management. So you need to understand the fleet scenario to do a fleet diagnosis, and we consider that telematics is an excellent tool for that. So you can understand the environment and how your drivers are behaving. And also, you have to strategically plan interaction with other departments in the company, because fleet management is not only one department, the company, it can be interlaced across all the other departments, and we are going to check something about that later. 2, fleet policy and employment contract. So first, create and validate and mainly communicate your fleet policy to all your drivers. So without the fleet policy, you cannot have rules, you cannot have benefits, you cannot have awards or punishments, and you have to consider the local law statements, of course, and you can use also the employment contract as part of the policy structure. So these are the 3 main tips in fleet policy. Then moving ahead for the fleet operation in practice, fleet is all about numbers. You have many numbers. Data is all about numbers. So collect them and disseminate all the fleet information across the other departments in the company. And treat the fleet as an important unit cost. It usually costs a lot. So use it to leverage fleet projects and also company projects, other projects from other departments. As I've just mentioned, be strategical with the other managers in the company, and maybe you can leverage their projects with money that is being saved in the fleets that you provide to them. So this is very important for the fleet operation. 4, TCO, costs versus results. So price is not everything. So you have to learn how to calculate the total cost of ownership of our fleet. Maybe you can buy a car that is a little bit more expensive, but if you project that like 2 years ahead, the consumption of fuel will pay that price that is at the first glance high, but it's actually not when you calculate the TCO. Also, place cost per mileage as your main unit for indicators, so you can compare all of them. And also pay attention to hidden costs like depreciation, for example, because they can take a big chunk in our budget. 5, about KPIs. So choose the indicators according to your fleet operation. So for that, you have to understand the environment. You have to understand the operation of the fleet in your company, and then you choose the best indicators for that. And always measure, validate the measures, then take a decision on that. And the main thing, act on top of your decision. And so revalidate if that was good using the data that you are getting from the fleet. 6, this one I like most, safety culture. Safety is not a priority here. We don't negotiate safety. Safety is a value. And also safety is a good business. Good driver behavior implies an excellent savings. So for every dollar that you invest in good behavior, that you invest in safety, that will come back to the company in savings. And also, safety culture is very, very good. It helps a lot to engage drivers and also everybody in the company. So it's a very, very good speech to get everybody involved in the fleet management. I mean, everybody from other departments. 7, regarding supply. So plan RFPs, request for purpose, very carefully. Why is that? Because it's very complex. And there's no time to learn too much because it happens only sometimes. So you have to be working on RFPs continuously. And for that, you have to understand local economy. And the biggest tip here is build relationship with your suppliers, talk to them all the time. So then you can understand their business, and then you can put a very good RFP in the market. And regarding corporate mobility, consider the fleet as a trip demand oriented service, right? But also consider how your employees from all over the company, how do they get to the office? That's also mobility. And there is many, many things that you can do in that, not only the fleet. So that puts the fleet manager in a more strategic position in the company, and you can grow more. And always keep yourself up to date, because there are many, many new options happening, like new modals, car sharing, new ride sharing or ride hailing. So these are new options that are arising all the time. So if those 8 tips make sense for you guys, actually they are the 8 modules of PGF, the program for fleet manager I have mentioned before. Actually, those tips are the tip of the knowledge iceberg of the 30-hour course that is PGF. And after finishing PGF, the fleet manager becomes CFM, or Certified Fleet Manager, by PARAR. This is also recognized by NAFA, the North American Association. And actually, PGF has also a postgraduate course with 360 hours and 12 modules. It's recognized by the Brazilian Ministry of Education, and has the support of the Philadelphia University Center in Brazil. So we know that poorly educated professionals, and not only fleet managers, they want technology to solve all human behavior problems, right? So I put here an example, which is fatigue detection, which is very popular at the moment. And my question here is, what to do after getting this indicator? So what if the accident has already happened, right? So would you put your family in the car to travel when you are tired to drive, for example? Of course not. So that should be our behavior as professional drivers, as fleet managers, and that should be supported by the fleet policy of the company, and especially by the company safety culture. So technology is not enough. We need the human factor here. And PGF is helping fleet managers to become actually life managers. So let us check here Cocamar's case. Cocamar is an agro-industrial cooperative. They put together two technologies. First one was an automated driver face recognition system. So the drivers, they don't need to do any movement or use any card. They just go inside the car and turn it on and start driving. And also the second technology is the speed limits, especially per road, per street, to evaluate driver behavior. So technology, technology, technology. And what is the name of the project? And here we go. The name is in Portuguese, Projeto Vida Segura. So this is in English, Project Safety Life. So this is what is here. And it means people is in the center, not technology. So what were their results? 30% of reduction in accidents and more than 40% savings in fueling, which is amazing because being below the speed limits, the vehicles were spending less fuel. So the more safety, the more efficient. All right, and to close this presentation, this is PARAR Institute in numbers today. So as I've mentioned, 15,000 members. We have already 2,000, more than 2,000 students that have completed PGF, more than 400 online and especially face-to-face events, more than 800 hours of content, which means this 12,000 minutes of streaming, and more than 400 trained drivers in the PFC, which is a course destined to drivers analogous to the PGF, which is for the fleet managers. So thank you very much for your time. I hope the presentation has given you some good insights, and please access institutoparar.com.br for more information, and reach me out at sergio.jábali@gosat.com.br. So thank you very much, Pascal. I think you are muted.
Thank you very much, Sérgio. Your presentation was very interesting, and the PARAR presentation is also impressive. I want to start with two questions coming from the public. The first one is from Carlos Castillo. He's asking, how is your video driver identification technology going?
All right, so they're going good. So the video driving technology is from a company called V3, and there is a partnership with GoSat. So I can talk a little bit about that. It's going pretty good. We have about 1,200 vehicles already in the field, and we have indexes above 85% of assertive identifications. So I think it's doing pretty well.
Okay, thank you. We have another question, a short one from Christian Rivera. He's asking whether you have offices or distributors in Mexico.
Christian, unfortunately not. GoSat is placed in Brazil. So for technology, we are only attending Brazil, but at PARAR, we are attending Brazil, and we have plans to start producing content in other language, for example, Spanish or English. So that would be good for you guys, especially in times where you have home office as the main place for work, right? So you can have those contents also in your country.
Thank you, Sergio. I personally have one or two questions for you. waiting for others from the public. And I wanted to understand why safety became so important for PARAR, so important that it's even more important than cost saving. Could you explain a little bit that idea?
Yes, very good question, Pascal. In Brazil, for example, we have 30 to 40,000 deaths per year in traffic. And moreover, we have also 300,000 people with incapacitating injuries every year. So that's those losses, those numbers are unacceptable. And we spend like 50% of the annual education budget with accidents, for example. So as you can see, like safety is a value for us and also a good business, as I told you. So we believe that if we act on private business, we can help the entire society with the road safety I have meant.
Well, the question there is to understand how you can also act on private business, because I can understand how you act on business, but how do you plan to act on individuals?
All right. Yes. So let's understand that 10% of the Brazilian light fleet belongs to companies, and we choose like the vehicles to perform daily activities such as sales force, field force, etc. So if we add that to the thousands of trips made every day by private vehicles in the service of a company, it's clear the great responsibilities of corporation in contributing to a safer traffic. So PARAR initiatives aim to contribute to the awareness of the organizations regarding safer traffic. And then we are disseminating that culture, that safety culture, to leaders, and then you can reach the drivers individually. So they understand that what is good, like when you learn good content from your company, you bring that to your life, you bring that to your home, so you can share that with your husband or with your wife. And we are always doing things this way. So we care for drivers, and we think it's very important to professionalize fleet management based on this chain and based on this value of the safety culture and saving lives all the time.
That's very interesting. It's nice when business is becoming something also of values. And I don't think there is any other questions, just people congratulating for your nice presentation. It's been a pleasure, Sérgio, to be with you today. It's nice to see what PARAR is doing in Brazil. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you very much, Pascal. It was very good to be with you and with all this audience. Thank you all very much for your time. See you.